Over the next few videos, we're going to build a complete Sci-Fi Foundry theme from scratch. You'll learn how to create curved corner walls, detailed ceilings, and distributed props across the ground. Alright, let's start by creating a new level. Get rid of this, drop in a dungeon actor, go to dungeon architect dungeon, reset the transform to 0, save this level. Next to that, create a dungeon theme. And select your dungeon actor and assign this theme to it. Okay, now we will open the dungeon theme editor mode like we've seen in the last video and start editing it from here. Now before we proceed, we want to change the builder type to CellFlow. So select your dungeon actor and change this to CellFlow. And the CellFlow config also requires a graph. So select CellFlow graph Foundry. If you don't see it here, it's probably disabled from here. So go ahead and enable engine content, plugin content, and select this. And go ahead and save. Now, if you double click, so if it didn't show up the first time, just build the dungeon, come out of it, and select this. So let's drop in our dungeon, our Foundry assets. So head over, first make sure that the engine content and plugin content are enabled, and then you will see the engine folder. Head over to plugins, dungeon architect content, then go to showcase asset packs, Foundry mesh. Now here we have quite a few meshes, so let's drop in the ground mesh, and we have this, so complete. Now for this, if I open this up, the ground size is 400 by 400, and if I select the dungeon actor, my grid size is also set to 400. But with this theme, we're going to try something different. We will use the grid size of 800 by 800 because we have some of our walls that are 800 units wide, and we'd very much like to have those larger walls. So for the ground, it's not really a problem. Although it's 400, we can either scale it up or we can use 4 of these smaller tiles. So let's set this to 800 and hit build over here and double click on this, and here it's showing me this. So now I can either scale this or so if you want to modify the node settings, you would do it from this details panel, not from this one. This belongs to the level editor, and you'd be just modifying the actor settings, not the node settings. So what we would do here is instead of scaling this up, we want to use 4 of these. So let's put this here, drop in another ground, one more, now this is a post-process effect where it desaturates everything except for the selected tile. So if it's getting in the way, you can always disable that, and we want to have one more. Okay, so automatically 4 of these nodes that we dropped in were added as a parent were added as child nodes to the ground marker. Now let's add in the walls. So we have, let's drop in wall E2, and we want to rotate it. and I'm going to delete whatever I just dropped in. I'm going to select this actor and hit delete, so it's gone. And now I want to select these three because I want randomly any one of these to be picked up. So I'm going to select all three and then drag drop. Oops, before that I need to enter the marker edit mode. I just hit escape so I come off it. We're not doing that. Let me do it again. So I double click here and then drag drop, and it's choosing one of those three in random. Okay, so now let's complete. We want to rotate this, so I double click this, complete. Now it has created these walls, and I have another wall mesh, this orange wall, and I'd like to use this wall in the ground floor, and these ones can be on the top. So this node that spawns these meshes, I want it to be selected only if the elevation is beyond level 1, right? So so this is level 1, this is level 2, level 3, level 4, and we have rules which you can attach to this node, and you can control whether this node gets inserted or selected to be inserted into the scene or not. And let's have a look at it now. So select this node and go to selection logic and create a generic selection logic. So here we have a few built-in ones, and you can go ahead and easily create your own. These are blueprints, and I'll show you how to make your own later on. So we have a few elevation selector, elevation range selector. So what is the desired elevation start? Let's set this to a very high value. So anything from 1 to a certain value would make this selector. I make this 2, then it will not insert it in the second floor, and so on. Right, so now if you see here, there's a flag. Top if selected. We want this to be enabled because let me really fast drop in this wall mesh here. I'm not going to select it afterwards. So you see, I'm not using the theme editor. I'm not double clicking this and then adding it here. I want more control now, so I'm directly putting it in the graph so that I can control where it comes in. So now if this does not get selected, which in our case it will not get selected because we have specified a rule here where the elevation has to be within the range of 1. So this is elevation 0, 1, 2, and so on. So elevation starts with 1, and here it gets selected. Execution stops, never comes here. However, on the ground floor, this fails, and this does not get selected to be inserted onto the scene. Execution moves forward to the next one, and this gets selected. So if I did not check this box, stop if selected, regardless of whether it was inserted or not, it would go to the next one and insert our walls in the other floors as well. Alright, so we plan on adding quite a few meshes here. So let's do that. If I double click this and move it around and drop another one, this is going to add it over here in the front end. It's going to, since it's the first, it's going to update everywhere, so we do not want that. So I'm going to select this, delete, and complete. What I want instead is I'm going to group this and everything inside another marker node. So this is a new concept that's being introduced. So you can create your own markers and you can emit them out from here, so that if it's ever selected, after the selection it would emit another marker and everything underneath that would execute. So let's call this wall level 0, and just remove that. So I held down the Alt button and I clicked on this pin to break the link, and we're gonna have this here. So exactly the same thing. Instead of the mesh node, I'm just gonna have I'm gonna have a mesh node, but it's going to be empty. And from here I'm going to emit this node, wall level 0. So it's basically the same thing as having this node, but now we can group a bunch of things under this one marker and then just emit that from here. So if this node ever executes and is selected for insertion, then this marker would be emitted onto the scene, and then the theme engine would pick that up and then come here and then execute everything underneath this. So this keeps things organized, and now we can use the theme editor without worrying about messing up our rule over here, which we require this to be on as the first node. So now if I double click on this marker, you see it's turned into a dot telling you where's the spot, and we can add more. We can add more here, so I'm going to add another one, and you see it just added it to the right marker. I'm going to move it here. Complete. Now let's add in a wall separator. So I have this wall separator. No, let's double click this and then drop it in. And we get this. Again, for the wall separators for the ground floor, we very much want to have this one that's designed for that wall. So let's do that. Complete. Save. So here I'm going to go ahead and again select the selection logic, and then like before, go ahead and add a elevation range selector. Or this time we try something else. I'm going to disable the selection logic here, and I'm going to drop in this mesh. And now stop if selected is enabled, and the probability is 1, so 100% of the time this gets inserted. That's why you see the same mesh being shown everywhere. Now we'll do the opposite of what we've done. We've chosen this to have a range above 1 and everything. In this case, we put this as a first node and say select this only if the elevation is 0. So if not, then it falls back to this, and everything else above it will pick this one up. Level 0 will pick this one up. So let's go to the selection logic and add elevation selector and set the value to 0, and you see it's already working here. Very nice. Just to test, I'm going to change this to 1, and you get this node in the first floor, second, and so on. Perfect, it's working. Now let's go ahead and select this node, double click this to edit, also bring the highlight back, and we are going to drop in a few more things. Let's drop in this pipe and another one. We can also scale it, but okay, looking very good. Complete. So this makes up the base structure for the Foundry theme, and in the next video look at creating the ceilings and the lightings.